Okay. All right. Microphone is working. Good. Hi, everybody. Hey, kids. Welcome to The Abyss, another episode of The Abyss. I am your host, of course, The Eternal Abyss. How is everybody doing? I hope everybody is doing fine. I want to say hello to everybody in all the platforms that I stream on. First and foremost, I want to say hello to everybody on Rumble. I want to say also hello to everybody on YouTube, of course, Realms, where the main stream happens. It's the platform where I can say whatever the hell I like, essentially. So hopefully the microphone is loud enough. If I need to make any adjustments, let me know. I actually don't have my headphones on here. I usually have some headphones for monitoring the audio. I don't know. I'm looking for a cable actually to connect the audio to. So you might hear some rustling, some searching here because I rearranged my entire backpack here and I cannot recall for the life of me which pocket I put what, because I did all this rearranging and it's not. Oh, here we go. There we go. So I at least found the audio cable. So hopefully I'll be able to just pop this in. Should be able to monitor what I am saying. Maybe no. Crap. The microphone thing is way. Oh well, no problem. I won't use the monitoring headphones. We'll wing it. We'll do it as Bill O'Reilly said. We'll do it live. So today we have a few things we're going to be talking about. Obviously, we have a little less focus on Trump stuff. A lot of times, the stream is really much overtaken by the politics du jour of the Trump administration is doing, what's happening here, what's happening there. And there are things happening there, don't get me wrong. It's not a slow news day. It's almost never a slow news day in MAGA America here. But, like I know, like one of the news items that came out right now is that you have the bomber, the DC bomber allegedly found. So that's very interesting. I don't know a lot of details about it, so I'm not really gonna, like I said, I'm not gonna do a deep dive because I wanted to kind of cover some other topics that I wanted to get into more so than just the usual political talk of the day. We'll keep reading some more Gilgamesh soon. I was mistaken on my last stream that I thought we were closer to the end. Instead, so we are not there yet, but of course it's a very interesting read. Why not continue it? We are going to continue it. And then once we're done with that, we'll decide what book we're going to read next, because I want to do this kind of little let's read section. And I always thought of doing that in my previous stream. Kind of glad that we started doing that because it's fun. It's a nice thing. It's fun. I enjoy it. I think it's nice. Gives me the opportunity to do something that I actually do enjoy doing. I enjoy reading. Just you're an adult. You're working. You're doing streaming. You're reading social media. You're doing all sorts of stuff like this. It's not easy to just sit down and read a book. There's a lot of distractions in the world, a lot of things that are happening. So it kind of sucks that you can't just relax and enjoy something. Glad that we can do it together, share. But as you can see in the title of the stream for those that are on YouTube and Rumble, we're going to talk about this Fuentes and Crowder interview. There was a very interesting long X post from I believe her name Gillian Anderson. I'm not mistaken. Uh, which I believe I bookmarked, and if I didn't, there we go. Oh, Jillian Michaels. I'm sorry. Yeah, I knew I was screwing that up. So Jillian Michaels put this very, very long thread together about what she says divides us. There's a lot of spot on points that she. So we're going to talk about that. She also tried to basically tell conservative, like she's kind of newer into the conservative sphere, consphere as I like to call it, because there's a lot of different sub layers to that, a lot of layers to that onion. So in the consphere, we have welcomed people like her, like Anna Kasparian, things like that, and they come in and we welcome them, of course, and as long as they are championing the ideals of conservatism and championing those points, I have no problem with welcoming anybody under our tent. That's the one thing about conservatism, liberalism. We welcome people under our tent from an ideological point of view. The left instead excludes people ideologically unless you strictly toe the line, and if you veer just a hair from the cult, you're out. Conservatives don't do that so much. We don't have this kind of exclusionary, in a way. I mean, we do have, there's a part of conservatism where that does exist. Let's be fair. I mean, when you have rhinos, for example, people that, Republicans in name only, yeah, I mean, it's pretty obvious when you're LARPing as a conservative, we have no use for you at that point. It's not controversial to say, well, if you're just a faker, don't even bother. But if you are conservative, and there's all these different, there's the manosphere, there's the red pillars, there's the Christian ethics apologists, like Andrew Wilson, for example. Then you have me. I'm a Catholic constitutionalist, essentially, is how I would define myself. I don't prescribe to political parties. In fact, I wouldn't call myself an anarchist. Like I have a very slight anarchist streak to myself, in the sense of I don't believe that government should be what it currently is. I don't believe that people can rule themselves. So we have, that's the kind of problem that I have when you're dealing with human nature and trying to create a system of governance that that it works for the most part, but you have to take into account those things. So that's the thing that that kind of goes with me. So we are very welcoming, but then you have people like Jillian Michaels who comes in, we welcome her, and she starts trying to dictate how the conservatives need to navigate, and who we can talk to and who not to talk to. And there is something to be said about the kind of elements that you want to associate yourself with when you are, like, even myself doing a little stream like this. If I bring people onto the stream, which I am more than happy to bring people onto my stream, talk to them, there may be some people that I may prefer not to have on my stream. And there may be different reasons for it. Some of them could be ideological. Others could be because, they like in the case of Steven Crowder, he has some people that have literally called for his death. His rule is he won't have people on the stream for that. And I can respect that, because I would feel the same way. Like, if you want my death, I don't think we're going to have a productive conversation now, are we? So that's kind of where I stand with that. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that, about Gillian Anderson, what divides us. There's been a lot of talk in the consphere here. A lot of talk about low birth rates. And this isn't a new topic. It's just not one topic I haven't really touched on, per se. And hold on. I'm not seeing my chat refresh. Oh, wait, no, it's. Sorry. Never mind. More of a local thing for me, not seeing the refresh. It's okay. But anyways, basically, what I what I'm hoping to accomplish in this stream is also talk a little bit about that, because like I said, it's not a new topic, but it's becoming more and more like loud. People are talking more and more about it. People are getting louder about it. It's becoming there is a coming, or there already is actually a bigger divide amongst how people feel this should be resolved. And I just wanted to kind of put my 2 cents on it, because I've never really talked about this, because I think there's a couple aspects of this that need to be addressed, primarily, and we'll get into that. So before I jump into that, I don't really actually, one thing I do want to mention is, if whoever was watching my stream the last time I did this was several weeks ago, usually on a Tuesday. Like, it's kind of unusual that I'm streaming on a Thursday, that I just happen to have a free evening. And well, kind of a free evening. I've been busy and working all day, but this is downtime for me. This is relaxation for me. So I thought it would be fun to jump on, relax a little bit, rant and rave a little bit, and then call it a night. So, so that's the plan. That's what we're gonna do. And from my last stream, and this is the first stream of December, by the way, so that's cool. The last stream, you may have noticed my avatar was facing towards the left of your screen, and normally I have it face the right. I don't know why I reversed it. I had gotten a new updated version of my avatar thanks to DoomTube Unreal. Thank you, sir. And for some reason I flipped it the other way. I don't know what the heck I was thinking. But it's facing the correct direction now. Yeah, my guy doesn't face left. He leans right, not left. But anyways, let's talk a little bit about this Crowder Fuentes interview. Now, I literally just watched this whole thing. It was 2 hours. It was kind of a long interview, and there were some interesting things that were discussed. So let me, before I dive into the substantive of it and the content of it, let me preface the discussion with just a few points here. Point A. I was multitasking while watching this. So I was working and doing other stuff. So I didn't take like exhaustive notes, and I didn't, analyze every syllable and every word they said. So I'm not gonna go for like play-by-play commentary on this. Maybe one day, when I have more time, there's these interviews, we could do something like that, where I can look at it, I can clip it, and do a kind of semi play-by-play commentary, because that might be a very interesting way to approach this, instead of just kind of going off after a 2-hour, listening to a 2-hour discussion between people. The one thing I can say is this is preface B, is that I agree with the premise, and Charlie Kirk was very, very much in favor of this. Steven Crowder as well, for the most part. And a lot of conservatives kind of feel this way too. Andrew Wilson is one guy who would debate anybody, for example. I fully agree with that kind of philosophy. I am open to talking to just about anybody. I am open to debating just about anybody. In fact, over my lifetime, I have debated many, many, many people face to face, university days, just in social gathering, um, not just academic settings, but different kind of settings. I've had presentations and discussions on various topics. Um, Nothing high profile, obviously. It's just more local, in person kind of stuff, and it wasn't strictly politics, by the way. It was also just topics of conversation and what I do with my business. So I am very used to engaging with a wide variety of people, a wide variety of topics. And I agree that even with some quote unquote more controversial figures like Nick Fuentes or others, I don't believe that kind of throwing them out into the pasture and trying to ignore is a solution if you don't agree with some, or or maybe you agree but for different reasons. um so like you may agree on a point, but you may get there in different ways. So sometimes when you hear someone speak, you may not necessarily like at first kind of balk at what they're talking about, but then you think about it and go, well, okay, I see how they're getting to that. Ultimately, we're reaching the same destination, but they're going about it in a completely different way, while I'm going about it in my own way. You know what I mean? So that's what I mean is like sometimes it's worth having a conversation with, no matter if they say controversial, or like controversial also by whose standard. Because honestly, for me, a lot of things aren't that controversial what people talk about. Some people are like, "Oh my God, I can't even have a discussion about, uh, not even have a simple, very overarching discussion about abortion, for example." Whereas I have no problem going into great graphic detail about it, and going into a lot of the minutia and into the weeds. And some people can't handle even just the topic, just knowing that the topic of a conversation is abortion, because they get triggered. I'm triggered, etc., etc. So that's the thing for me. I don't shy away from conversations. So the only problem, though, that I have with someone like Nick is, I said this many times before, I have a very hard time taking someone serious when they eat their burgers on stream. He did this. It's not controversial. It's not, listen, if anybody is a streamer, or anybody is a political figure or a celebrity, if I see them engage in a certain activity on camera, it's very, very difficult for me to take them. For instance, uh, I mean, Nick Fuentes is obviously one example where he ate a booger. He picked his nose, ate his boogers on during one of his streams. I can't take that serious. So he's always going to be a clown in my view. Someone like, let's say some celebrity comes around, like what's her name, Chloe Sevigny. Like, I may be mispronouncing that significantly. Um, but she uh, she was in American Psycho. I think she was the secretary. It was on Realms yesterday. That's why she's fresh in my mind, because I saw her in there and I was like, oh, okay, I know who that actress is. And I didn't see this movie, but I know that she's done a movie where she is doing a what's it called? Ah, the word is escaping me right now. It's basically when people do a sex scene in movies, or anything sexual in movies, it's not real. It's faked. It's just it's and there's a specific word for that that's just escaping me right now. It's driving me crazy. Oh my god. Simulated. That's the word. It's a non. So it's usually simulated. Sex scenes are simulated. It's all smoke and mirrors, real sex or anything that's happening for the most part. There are some movies where the sex scenes are non-simulated. Well, she engaged in a very explicit, non-simulated sex scene, performing oral sex on her co-star. So basically, she acted in what would be the equivalent of hardcore porn, right? Um, Again, I didn't see this movie. I just remember her reading about it, like reading about her in this situation because it was controversial. It raised some questions because it was very explicit. There was nothing hidden about it. It was basically looking at a porno. So that's what I mean. Like, if she comes out and starts talking about politics, I'm like, I don't know if I can take you serious when you're, blowing your co-star. You're giving your co-star a Hummer. I mean, what am I supposed how am I supposed to take you seriously as a political figure, for example? Or like, what's her face? I can't remember her name, but the redhead, the ginger from Sex and the City. With a show like Sex and the City, really, you want to go into politics then? Like, I can't take you really seriously. And I know she's playing a character. I know it's not like, whatever. It's not really her speaking. It's not really her in that when she's acting that character, you know. But at the same time, it's like, well, you are playing that role, you are embracing that role, and you are very liberal, and so I'm sure that there's a lot of overlap there, you know. So I can't. That's why I can't take celebrities serious a lot of times because of the kind of movies and characters and acts that they do on camera. Singers as well, like singers like Miley Cyrus, like the stuff that she does during her concerts. I can't take her serious if she ever talks about politics. No way, no how. It just ain't gonna happen, you know. So going back to the actual interview, so because I've been, yes sir, DoomTube, welcome to the stream. I happen to be streaming on a Thursday, so I'm kind of cutting into Ortho's stream. That's my bad. I mean, unless he wants to pipe me through his stream or vice versa, I can put him up on my screen too. We can have some fun with that. I don't know. Or I can join up on his Discord and we can collab. But anyways, I am. Yes, Gargamel, that's right. I gotta read more Gargamel soon. Thank you. But anyways, what I was saying with the Fuentes thing is, like, it's hard for me to take him seriously just from the get-go because of the fact that he ate burgers on his own boogers on stream. But let's go into the more substantive part of what he was talking about. So, Steven Crowder, when he did this interview just today with Fuentes, he actually did something interesting that I always hoped other people would do, but they never really did it. And the thing that he did was he kind of rapid fire asked him, well, are you an anti-Semite? Do you hate all Jews? Do you want all Jews dead? This and this and that. He kind of did this rapid fire questionnaire at the beginning to kind of clear the air of all these things that are said about him. And of course, Fuentes said, well, no, I don't hate all Jews. No, I don't want them all dead. No, I'm not an anti-Semite. So he of course, made himself to be a bit more moderate in his stances. And honestly, like, I haven't really seen a lot of clips or videos of him really advocating for that. Like, I'm not gonna say he is or he isn't, because let's just take it at face value. Let's just go with that for the sake of argument. He said he's not an anti-Semite. Okay, you're not an anti-Semite. I'll go with that. He said he doesn't hate all Jews. All right, I'll go with that. He said he doesn't want all Jews dead. Okay, great, fine. Let's go with that. There are some things that they had just a boost my gain a little. Let me see if I can do it on the mic itself, because I maxed out on the laptop here. See. Receiver. All right, does that sound a little better? Hopefully that sounds a little better. I increased the gain on this microphone, so because I have two little microphones that I use, DJI microphones, so maybe I use the other one instead of the previous one that I used. Oh, okay, great, awesome. Glad you can hear me, Tasered. Yeah, nice and loud, baby. All right. Yeah. So, yay, Abyss time. Welcome, friend 33313. What were you asking, DoomTube? I don't remember what I was saying now at this point. Said what about not wanting all Jews dead? Is that what you're, or that he was the? Well, basically, I'll reiterate. Steven Crowder asked Fuentes, "Are you an anti-Semite? Are you, do you hate all Jews? Do you want all Jews dead, etc., etc.?" And of course, he said no, 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 no. And they had a really that was Fuentes. Fuentes said he was not an anti. He said that he's not anti-Semitic. Because and they talked a little bit about the Tucker interview, and Fuentes was lamenting the fact that Tucker Carlson, was interviewed him when they were talking face to face. They were kind of communicating, and the rapport seemed a little different. And then afterwards, Tucker Carlson went on all these different shows and just kept saying that that he was an anti-Semite, etc., etc. So he's like, it was really strange that there was kind of that duality to Tucker Carlson, that he did that he kind of just turned around and backstabbed him. And honestly, whether you agree or not or whatever, I think that's kind of a BS thing to do on the side of Tucker Carlson. Like, it doesn't matter who you're interviewing. If you're going to interview someone, you should really be just honest when you're talking to them face to face, and then you treat them the same way when they're not in front of you. So on one side, I have to say that it's like I don't blame him for criticizing Tucker Carlson, and even Crowder also criticized Tucker for that, because he's like, yeah, that's kind of bullshit. DHS just cut the maximum time for any work visa down from 60 months to 18. I'm okay with that. I don't have a problem with that. I think that's good. We shouldn't have people staying here and then overstaying their visas. That I think that's a very good thing, actually. That's progress in the right direction. Nice. Oh, breaking news. They didn't? Okay, no breaking news. I retract that. Hold on. Someone's trying to call me here. So, Excuse me if I got the sniffles here. It's just allergies, of course. Nah, they didn't. Oh well. Never mind. Let's retract the breaking news. Here we go. So, anyways, going back to what I was saying. Yeah. So this whole thing about the interview and then what Tucker did afterwards, it was kind of bullshit. Both Crowder and Fuentes lamented about it, and I don't blame them. Oh, Doom BTFO'd. Really? All right, let's settle this once and for all. Let's see. Come on, load. Jeez, what's going on here? Yeah, from leading report, breaking DHS cut maximum work period for visas down from 5 years to 18 months. Seems like it's legit, Doom. Yeah, so again, breaking news. There we go. You heard it here first on The Abyss. Well, not quite, but you get the idea. And most of the conversation was really nothing that extraordinary. I think the best part of the interview, really, I would say, it's worth listening to, only to reach more towards the end, because that's when they started really getting into it more about more ideological differences, because Steven was holding Nick Fuentes to task for certain things that he had said in the past. For example, that he said that people should vote for Kamala Harris, or like during the Tucker Carlson interview about Nick Fuentes saying that he admired Stalin, and Nick explained what he meant by that. And I mean, okay, yeah, I guess as a historical figure, Stalin is can be considered a very interesting and fascinating historical figure. And so I can see why someone would say that in that context. However, I don't. I think it's just weird for me for I guess just the wording. I think is strange when you have someone saying this horrible figure, historical figure who was pretty evil and killed millions of people and purged did the purge. Is is someone that he quotes admires, because that's the word that I think got to me about that whole thing. Because it's like, really, I don't think admired should be the term that you would use for that. It's maybe you just say he's a fascinating figure, but not that you admire a mass murderer. And Nick Fuentes did pedal back on that, saying, well, yeah, he is evil, he's a bad guy. I'm not saying that I think he's a good guy or he's moral. I just think that because of the transformation of Russia under Stalin, was it went from a backwards country to like a nuclear power, basically, things like that. So I mean, yeah, you could find any historical figure interesting and read their story, and it could be a gripping story, no matter how good or bad it is. I think just his choice of words either reflects that he does truly admire him for the kind of person that he was. Not for the murdering part, but that he was a strong-willed individual, authoritarian, someone that had command. And I think that there's a lot of parallels in different parts of the discussion where he's talking about what his ideal worldview is, like an ideal government is, and he does lean in a semi-authoritarian fashion. So I would have pressed a little more on that at that meta level if I was doing an interview with him, for example, to kind of understand where that fascination came from. But that wasn't the point of the interview, so Steven didn't really push that. But I do invite people to watch the entire interview. I think it was actually very fascinating to listen to. It really did kind of put things in context. Like if you don't know Nick Fuentes that much, which, like, for example, I don't. So it did kind of help me get a better grasp of a big picture of who is Nick Fuentes, what are some of the things that he talks about, and what does he stand for. So I do think it was very educational for me. So I do invite people. I do invite people to check out the interview because I think it could be very insightful, you know. But the other things that he talked about was, like, as I mentioned, voting for Kamala instead of Trump, because his idea was, if it was a closer election, that could be a way to push Trump to do more of the policies that he wants. He kept saying throughout the interview that he felt that Trump has failed on a lot of things. He apparently has this weird relationship with the Second Amendment because he has guns. He's pro Second Amendment, but he also has a feeling about, like, he has feelings towards it shouldn't really be so willy-nilly. Things like that. And so he also has some interesting critiques regarding the founding fathers. So that's the thing, well, he had some critiques, but he had also a lot of praise for them. So it's one of those things where it's like, it's a mixed bag with Nick Fuentes. And listen, I don't truly know what's in that man's heart, so to speak. He has said some very controversial things, some edgy things. Sometimes when you're doing these streams, like, and he said this as well, and in a way, he's not wrong. When you're talking into the void, you say some pretty funny, stupid, silly, nonsensical, edgy crap. You just do. It's just part of the charm of the platform, the medium, and you just go out there and you have a good time with it, and you just let things roll and let things flow naturally, or as they just come out. And sometimes you embellish, you put extra energy in it, and so a lot of different things can come out during a stream, and that doesn't necessarily mean that that's the end all be all of an opinion. But yeah, it can happen. So my thought about Fuentes is, like I said at the beginning, I don't believe in deplatforming. There's rare occasions where I think people should not be platformed. It's very rare, because I'm pretty much a free speech absolutist to a degree. But if you're going out there like Hassan Piker, literally calling for political violence, that's not free speech, in my opinion. That's inciting violence. That is, you're not just expressing an opinion at that point. And I don't think that you should have an open platform to just do that. Simple. I think that if you're going to go out there and you're going to go and try and get people killed, you like the Photoshop of Hassan being a Nazi and pressing a button that's on a shot collar? I don't think I've seen that one. Can you link me? I'll try and put it up on the stream here. I want to see it. If you have it, if you don't worry about it. It's okay. Don't stress. Don't stress over it, dude. But that's my philosophy. I don't care if Nick Fuentes goes on different interviews. I don't care if like people were all criticizing Tucker Carlson for like, oh my God, he interviewed Putin. Oh my God, who cares? Who cares? Like, we there are documentaries. Okay, this is the thing. There's like not just documentaries. You have journalists going to like when Bundy, the serial killer, when that guy was still alive before he got executed for his crimes, they were interviewing him. Fox News has been doing this commercial about this whole like documentary about Bundy. And I'm like, what about like you have a problem with someone like Fuentes or like some other people, but you had journalists over talking to over the course of history, talking to serial killers, talking to dictators, talking to like you had Time magazine putting Hitler on their magazine as Man of the Year. So so it's like it's very hypocritical for certain people out there to go, oh my God, a journalist is talking to so and so. It's like, why would that even be an issue? Actually, I think the best disinfectant is the sunlight. It's good to have ideas all put out there, and then people can decide for themselves, does that idea actually have merit? Or is that person full of crap? Or is this person worth even wasting my time on? And honestly, I think that if the media were objective, and if social media and video platforms like YouTube and such were objective with their algorithms, the videos that would be showing would be far different from the suggestions that they offer. Because they obviously play the system. They game it for their own ideology and agenda. Of course, Google does the same with their search results. But if we actually had a more objective presentation of material where you would see all the sides of it, that would like allsides.com, for example. Like I'm not promoting any particular platform or website, but I'm just saying, using that as an example. Where, yeah, you have a presentation of topics, of articles on a piece of news that's on the left, right, center, and then you can make up your mind. You can see where the similarities are, where the differences are, and I think that's a good approach for everything. Listen to all sides. Listen to all the talking points, because once you start listening to all of it, it's easy to filter out the bullshit. It's not that hard. It requires work, but it's not that hard. So, like I said, I would invite people to check out the stream, the interview. I think it was an interesting one. Would I have pushed harder on other things like certain topics? Yeah, maybe. But honestly, like, I think that overall it was decently conducted. I think that the information presented on both sides was pretty interesting, and I think, as I said, for someone like myself, I'm speaking from the perspective of I'm not an avid Fuentes follower. I don't listen to every single one of his streams, so it was interesting to see clips, see reactions, see commentary on it by Crowder and by him. So I think that it's worth a listen, and I would invite people to listen to it. You don't need me to link it. It's very easy to find on YouTube. It just happened today, so you should be able to find it very easily. It shouldn't be a problem. Oh, you got it? Let's see. Hold on. Let me see if I can get this up here. Yeah, I'll just do this. Let's see. Oh, that's a good one. Oh my god. It almost looks like Thor, like with the glowing eyes, you know? Oh my goodness. That's funny. Look at that. Wow. Yeah, yeah, there you go. Like Raiden from Mortal Kombat, that's right. The only problem is not the Nazis. I don't recall any Nazis having beards. I don't think that the Nazis did the beard thing. I don't think that was part of the whole aesthetic. I think it was all like super clean shaven and everything. So that is darn funny though. Oh my gosh. Goodness me. All right, let's take that off the screen. Oh, I might have to use that as the video. What do they call it? The video thumbnail. I might have to use that now. Oh man. But yeah, let's go into this thing with Jillian Michaels. We'll talk a little bit about this, and then. Okay, can you get... Okay, there we go. Yes, I'm on. Oh, Orthodox was talking to friend. My bad. I thought he was talking to me. Okay. Um, so I don't know where I got cut off here, but I was talking about what Jillian Michaels was saying here. We're gonna address that kind of point by point. Um, so let me start over. So the whole discussion here is what divides us, what divides America. And she said it isn't just one thing. There's a lot of things that have divided America. So that's true. There are. Um, and she said one of them is social media rewired the country. So platforms didn't just connect people, they radicalized them. Algorithms reward outrage, conflict, and extremism because that content keeps people glued to the screen. So the loudest, angriest voices get the most visibility, while moderate voices disappear completely. And the result is that people now live in different information worlds, not just different opinions, different realities. I don't entirely agree with this, and this is the reason. So yes, social media is a huge dividing factor. People are factioning, and social media has increased that factioning because it does amplify those quote unquote, as she says, angry voices and outrage and all that kind of stuff. However, let's not be naive about this, because and she does talk about this later in other points, but this division is not new. I mean, if you paid attention, for example, if you were alive in the 80s and you paid attention to Supreme Court appointments where the Senate had to vote on them, and Clarence Thomas, for example, they accused him of rape, they accused him of all sorts of stuff, they accused him of all sorts of different things, and Biden was even one of them, accusing him of all this kind of stuff. So, and the language they were using was very much the same as they use now against Trump and against Kavanaugh and against other people. It's the same exact thing. Same exact thing. It's not any different. And that's the thing. It's like, it's not anything new. It's not anything new. On top of that, go even farther back in history. What people were saying in the newspapers about Lincoln: he's a tyrant, he's a dictator, he's shredding the Constitution, he's an un-American. Does that sound familiar to you? It should, especially if you've watched my streams, because I've already talked about this. A long time ago I talked about this. Because that's something that they said back in the days of Lincoln. So this sort of divisionary, like divisive rhetoric is not anything really new. Okay? The problem with social media is not that social media rewired people. It just kind of redefine how communication happens. And the problem is, because algorithms were designed to generate that outrage in people. It's not that the outrage is amplified because it keeps people glued to the screen. It's designed to engage people. Why do you think YouTube amplifies certain outrage and certain conflict and certain extremism versus trying to downplay others? It's not an even playing field. See, the problem I have with her assessment is like she's making it out as if the playing field is even, right? And only the extremists on all sides are amplified. But that's not the case. Because the tech companies were all liberal bros. And they're all libtards. So what are they doing? They're obviously going to amplify their voices and their team and their tribe versus conservatives, as you saw with what happened with Twitter, with what happened on Facebook, with what happened on YouTube. Why do you think Rumble has to exist now? Why do you think Truth Social exists now? Why do you think X became X after Elon Musk took it over? Because of the fact that it wasn't just that the extremists and the rage baiters and all that were amplified. It wasn't just that. So this is I find this to be a very oversimplified point of view on this. At the very core, at the very foundation level of this point, that social media has a bad influence. Well, yeah, it does. I'm not disputing that. I just think that the reason why people live in these different information worlds is, one, identity politics already started this before social media was even a thing. Social media was just the next incarnation and progression of this. It just amplified what that tribalism and that identity politics and that division, that was already there. And if you were not in a world where you saw these two worlds collide, then yeah, obviously you're going to think that social media is the main culprit, but it's not. It's a big one, but it's not. Academia, actually, I would say, is even worse. And she doesn't talk about that. Actually, she doesn't talk about academia at all. Since the 1960s, you have universities and academia pushing Marxism, socialism, communism, all that bullshit. You have climate change happening since the 1950s and 60s, or like 60s basically, when they were doing all these summits, talking about that the world was freezing, pushing all this nonsense on students, all this hippie shit on students, all this kind of stuff. Why do you think there was such conflict and protests and even violence at universities during Vietnam? That's why. Because academia had already started this. That's why when you're talking to people that are part of these different groups, like these socialists, they don't look at facts and reality for what they are in front of their face. They don't. And even if you present evidence, they don't. Social media is not responsible for that. What's responsible for that is the tribalism, is the ideologies that are being pushed on people. So while social media has its faults, and I am not denying that social media has its faults, let's just be fair and correct here. But I mean, come on, you can't just say that, oh, if social media didn't exist, we wouldn't be this divided. Well, maybe not as divided as we are now, but we already were pretty fucking darn divided. Under George W. Bush, everything that they said about Bush, they said about Trump. But Trump was amplified by 1,000. Okay, they raised that volume by 1,000 with Trump. But they said the same exact fucking things. They said the same things about Reagan back in the day. You listen to some stand-up comedians back in the day, like Robin Williams criticizing Reagan. Similar kind of things. And I loved Robin Williams as a comedian. I think he's hilarious. You know, he's dead now. So unfortunately, who knows how his politics would have evolved beyond that, but it's kind of naive, I think, to just push all the blame on social media. People want to blame social media for everything, but yeah, you know what? People run these platforms. These people that came out of those academic institutions and being, pushed by these political groups and agendas, they definitely have a lot to blame for this, you know. But moving on, she said the next one is political parties realize division is profitable. Both parties figured out that fear and anger raise more money, get more clicks, and turn out more voters than unity ever will. So political messaging shifted from here's what we stand for to your neighbors want to destroy the country, donate now. When politics becomes war instead of a debate, your fellow citizen starts looking like the enemy. Well, yes, that is mostly accurate. I would say that, again, I think that she's not looking at the like a large history track record. I think she's looking more narrow. But again, identity politics has existed. Under George W. Bush, you had people saying that the right wanted to kill gays. You had the right, wanted to take away women's rights. They've been saying this forever. This is not new. Okay? And you know what? Has she seen how the left speaks? And we just put a picture of Hassan Piker up here, that his streams are generally just kill conservatives. Yeah, you know what? Some people in those political quarters, they are violent. They are the enemy. And you have people on the left, actually, if we want to be objective about this, people on the left have been advocating for burn it all down. What does that tell you? That tells you that they're not looking for any sort of unity. And this isn't just political parties doing this. Again, it's a multifaceted thing. I actually disagree that unity doesn't raise as much money. I think that, look at how much money Trump has gotten from people. He generated a coalition. But I do think that if you have a unifying message, you attract more people to you. Like what Trump did. He said, it's about making America great. I do think that you can have a political message that's unifying. You can have an inspirational platform. You can have a message of, I don't want to use hope and such because that's what Obama used, but in a way, yeah, you can tell people, like Reagan did this too, though, with the city on the hill. That we provided, that America was the city on the hill that gave light to the world. And that was a unifying message. So, and that's what brought down the Berlin Wall. And so I do think that unifying and positive messaging can work just as well as, this sort of this sort of thing with creating more division. I think there's going to be a certain point where if you create more and more and more division, that this is the problem. While it's true that these political parties and pundits and organizations are trying to divide and divide and divide, what's going to happen eventually is things are going to get fractured to the point where people will be hurting each other. It's already starting. You have political pundits on the left celebrating and encouraging the murder of people on the right. People on the right are getting fucking tired of it. They are. And they're tired of having to live in this dual world where if they want to go out and do a change my mind, or they want to speak at a rally, or they want to do something, they have to spend all this extra money, all this extra stuff, because of all the threats of violence towards them. While someone who's on the left, they could just waltz around and not even worry about any possibility, because the right doesn't just go out and commit those acts of violence towards the political left. It just doesn't happen. So yeah,